What's going on, my friends? SeanPierceJohnson here, and if you can believe it or not, this year on the channel, we demoed and looked at close to 50 different effects pedals. That's 50 different effects pedals. The 14-year-old boy inside of me is kicking and screaming with delight, but the 32-year-old Sean that sits in front of the camera right now is wondering where the hell he's going to store all these things. All that aside, today, in this video, I'm going to somehow break down all 50 of those pedals into a top 10 list of my favorites of 2019. So, let's get started. Starting us out in the number 10 position is a pedal from Nu X, or Nux, if you like. We've looked at quite a few different pedals from Nu X over the course of the last couple of years, from the Atlantic and Solid Studio to the Masamune and the Cerberus, and they have been absolutely awesome, combining great sound quality with ease of use and really changing the perception of what it means to be a Chinese pedal company. Well, they really outdid themselves this year with the introduction of the Horseman. Now, the Horseman is a 2-in-1 clone overdrive pedal. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you see horse legs on a man's body. The name is Horseman, and the pedal is gold. You kind of get what this pedal is going after. However, it packs two different voicings of the Centaur-style overdrive into this very tiny enclosure, and it does it all at $100. Actually, it's under $100. I can't believe that it's under $100. And it's a fantastic sounding overdrive pedal. I love the gold voicing. That's my personal favorite for fattening up some single coils, and the silver voicing definitely lends a nice cut for some humbuckers. I do feel that it sounds best through American style amplifiers and clean amps like Boogies and Fenders, and I used the Carbon X1 for the demo of this particular pedal, and it just sounds fantastic. Now, there is some debate raging on the video in the comments section of this particular pedal that, oh, there's no real difference between the silver and gold voicings of the Klon Centaur, blah 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 blah. Well, I watched that video and I can definitely hear a difference of the gold and the silver one, and I hear a difference in this. The point is, for under $100, this is a fantastic sounding clone overdrive that if you've never gotten the chance to play any Centaur style overdrive pedals and you're on a budget, look this guy up. It's gonna do you right. Number 9 position is the newest pedal from my friends at Retrohead Effects out of Argentina, and it is the Mystic Drive. The guys at Retrohead do an incredible job of packaging their pedals. The enclosures are custom made and printed by them in Argentina. The engravings on the metal faceplate and the input-output jack plate are just absolutely stunning. Full color printed boxes, a color-coded little pedal sock, full manuals, recall sheets, and instruction manuals mean that they go to a lot of trouble to put together a really awesome package when you buy one of their pedals. And the best part is that you can now buy one of these from my Reverb shop. Click the link in the description below to watch both the video and see about buying one of these for yourself. So what do I love about it? Well, the thing that I love about it is that the drive portion of its name is really kind of a misnomer to me if you know, you're asking me. It does much more than just overdrive. It does distortion, it does fuzz, and it has a very unique set of controls that can get you really anything from kind of stinging Octavia fuzz to a very dark and smooth overdrive that sounds great in front of a crunchy amplifier. And of course, there's the weird monophonic sub-octave thing that happens with this when you flick this switch on the left into the down position. I don't know how I'm gonna use it for anything that I'm working on, but it's something that's kind of fun to play around with, and it's pretty damn cool. And also, I just love these guys to death. If you haven't checked out Retrohead Effects, please watch the videos and consider picking one of these up. It is absolutely incredible. number 8 spot on the list is not necessarily occupied by one pedal. It's not even occupied by 2. As a matter of fact, it's occupied by 5. And the reason for that is because it represents an entire company's lineup. In the number 8 spot, I have chosen to put the entire revamped line from Matthews Effects. Now, Rick and I have known each other for years, and this was really the first opportunity that I've had pedals from Matthews in my studio and got to intimately play them and discover them. And they sent over the entire lineup from the Architect V3 all the way through the Chemist V2. And I gotta say, from a standpoint of just a complete reboot of a product line, Matthews has done everything right. From the very cool sort of pop art-esque stylings on the enclosures to full printed boxes that are unique to Matthews, including stickers, and even the insides of the boxes look absolutely nutso. Everything about all of these pedals is fantastic. Now, a couple of them, such as the Whaler and the Cosmonaut, have gone on to other guitar player friends of mine because they find that they are the ones that get them the tones that they're after. And I've decided to hold on to the Architect V3, the Astronomer V2, and the Chemist V2. I absolutely love Rick's take on the Centaur style overdrive with a 3-band EQ and an independent boost control. Not to mention the fact that you have clipping selections for the Centaur style overdrive and the component that makes up your boost tone. It's pretty incredible. It's basically 3 pedals in one. Then the Astronomer. I have never been a huge ambient reverb guy, but this year seemed to completely change my perspective on it. And the Astronomer, to me, is one of the better ones out there on the market, especially when you consider how simple it is. And the fact that you basically have 2 sounds in 1 pedal, that's pretty incredible. And then we come to the Chemist, probably one of my favorite modulation pedals of the year. I love the way the phaser sounds, the chorus is lush and vibrant, and then there is the polyphonic octave generation of this thing. This is not a pedal to pass up. If you get a chance to check out any of the Matthews Effects line, you are doing yourself a huge favor. The lucky number 7 slot on our top 10 list of 2019 is our first amp in a box pedal, and it comes to us from Rev Amplification in the form of the G2 pedal. This green distortion pedal is not a tube screamer, believe me. This is a full-on medium gain, crunchy distortion amp in a box pedal, and it is one of the best sounding medium gain distortion pedals I've ever heard. I always feel like medium gain distortion is the hardest to do. It's always very easy to do light overdrive and heavy distortion, but no one can really grasp the dynamics and no one can really grasp the way of the gain structure that you get when it comes to crunch. Some have gotten close, but never quite as close as the G2. 3 different clipping modes from non-compressed to most compressed, full 3 bands of EQ being able to use in front of a clean amp, a dirty amp, and even into the effects loop, into the power amp as a preamp. This pedal does so much more than what you think it does on face value, and I absolutely love it. It's a very cool secret weapon pedal that you should really check out. Rounding out the bottom half of the top 10 list is the weirdest, wackiest, and possibly the most magical pedal that I heard all year, and it comes to us from Maris. It is Phaedra. Now, the only reason this is in this spot and not higher on the list is because it did take me quite a bit of time to really figure out how a player like myself is gonna get the most out of a pedal like this. But once I figured out, holy crap, guys, this thing is some of the most fun playing you will have for a very, very long time. I can do standard stuff with it, and it's a lot of fun, but when you start pushing it and it makes you start playing in different ways that you don't normally do, you start breaking down those creative blocks and those writer's block walls, all bets are off, and you're really greeted with something that you're quite frankly never going to want to part with. You may not use it all the time, but when you need something truly unique, you're going to bust this thing out and find that it's exactly what you were looking for. The halfway point of the list, I want to take a little bit of a step back from that list and give you guys some superlative pedals that I found that didn't quite make the cut of the list because I feel like they fit into a very specific category. So here are a few little superlative awards from Stompbox Saturday for 2019. Taking the top spot for best reissue of a pedal comes to us from Walrus Audio, and it is the EB10. Now, I call this a reissue because it's essentially a redo of the Defcon 4, which made the list last year. But the EB10 takes that Defcon 4 platform, ups the ante times 5 or whatever, and turns it into a pedal that is so much more than its predecessor. Increased range of both boost and cut for each bass, middle, and treble band. You have that great 10 dB MOSFET boost, but the addition of saving 3 different presets make this a pedal that, quite frankly, is what the Defcon 4 should have been all along. The next Stompbox Saturday superlative is the award for biggest surprise of 2019. Now, basically what I mean by this is pedals that came out of nowhere and were made by companies that I didn't even know made pedals. And that award goes to the guys at Angle Amplification for their custom pedal series. Now, here we have the Alpha Drive and the Fuzzy Head. We also looked at the Full Range Boost, which I actually still have, but is not currently here in the studio. And these pedals really just blew me away with how high quality they were, how cool they looked, but how great they sounded. It's really quite amazing that Angle is making these pedals and not a whole lot of people know about it. As a matter of fact, the Alpha Drive has become one of my favorite overdrives, sort of tube screamer style, for use with my 7-string guitar. It just has a really great way of tightening up the low end, adding a little bit of extra grind. And if you're a person who doesn't normally like fuzz pedals, I always recommend people check out the Fuzzy Head. It's crunchy, it's full, it's warm, it can be sharp, it can be cutting. It really does everything that you would want a fuzz pedal to do, and it does it incredibly well. Now, for this last Stompbox Saturday superlative, I don't really know quite how to categorize this other than the why the hell didn't I try this before category. And the winner of that has to be, and this is the only pedal that I've felt like this 100% all year, the Morley Dragon 2 George Lynch Mini Wah by Morley Wahs. Now, in the video going over this and the DJ Ashba Skeleton Wah, I told you guys that I was always a staunch Crybaby player. It was Crybaby Wah or die. Then I plugged this thing in, and I became converted. That's all you need to know. And now, with the superlatives out of the way, it's time to get to the top 5 pedals of 2019. However, we could look at this as a top 6 because the number 5 slot is occupied by 2 pedals, both from Keeley Electronics. And the reason for this is because I feel like these pedals are really one and the same. They have the same format, but different twists and different takes to kind of suit the player's needs. And of course, the pedals I'm talking about are the DDR and the DCR. Both have the same 2 great sounding overdrives of a Blues Breaker style overdrive and a Tube Screamer style overdrive, but they both have different wet effects that are built into the pedal. Whereas the DDR has delay and reverb, the DCR has chorus and rotary, hence the name DDR, DCR, drive delay reverb, drive chorus rotary. You get it. You can basically put both of these on one pedal board and have a full pedal board's worth of effects. right here in these two pedals. They're not going to take up too much space. Throw a tuner in front of it and maybe even just run into an amp that already has reverb and you're good to go. Simple as that. And I've really taken to these because they are so flexible. They have TRS inserts on the inputs and output jacks that you can activate from this slider switch on the side. They don't take up a whole lot of power and they are super versatile to boot. I'm not sure which one of these is going to end up on the pedal board. Maybe both of them are going to end up on the pedal board. Heck, I don't even know. But the point is they both sound great and really do feel like they could be hot swappable for the 5 position. So in that respect, they both get the nod. They are fantastic, I love them, and they are a hell of a lot of fun. And that spot is occupied by the one, the only, the Clover from JHS Pedals. What I love about the Clover is that it really is the authentic FA1 experience, but it's the little twists, the little tweaks, and the little turns that JHS has made to that circuit that make it way cooler, way more versatile, and just as good as the original. First off, the 3-position switch at the top right of the pedal allows you to select whether or not you want to have no EQ in the circuit, so you're just getting that FA1 boost. You get the authentic FA1 experience with volume, bass, and treble, or you can have a full 3-band EQ with bass, middle, and treble, and tweak till your heart's content. It really makes me sad that I had to sell my Epiphone Casino this year, because that Casino plugged into this with some analog delay into the Rock Reverb 100 sounded absolutely fantastic, and I kind of regret it now that I think about it. It makes me sad a little bit, but I digress. Not to mention the fact that there is a low cut as well as a balanced output to use as a DI. So all in all, this pedal does much more than just act as a boost for electric guitar to get you the edge sound. It is a super versatile preamp that can really get you just about anything that you need. Seemed to be the year of the pedal preamp. From analog and digital to full tube pedal preamps, we saw them all. And the one that takes the number 3 slot on this list for 2019 is the Neuron by New Neighbor Audio. Now, I can remember back to my time working at New Neighbor that Brian was seriously considering this idea of a modeling pedal, an amp pedal, something that could really get great amp style tones, but was utilizing digital technology and ones and zeros and algorithms. And he's been working on this for quite some time. We saw a prototype in the XD1 at NAMM in 2018, and finally the full realized version with Neuron is here, and it is absolutely stellar. The features are hefty and they are rich in this pedal, but it's not complicated to figure out. I love the fact that you can get great glassy clean tones at the same time as you can get full raucous metal tones out of it. It's truly an extraordinary thing considering that this is a digital pedal, but it feels just like the real thing. I love plugging this into my orange pedal baby as a nice little amp thing to play around with. It does great as a direct recording device. It does great in the front of an amplifier into the power amp. All in all, this thing is so versatile, sounds so good, it had to be in the top 3 for 2019. arrived to the number 2 slot. And in the number 2 slot, we have another 2 pedals. And it's really hard to decide between these two. They both do something kinda similar to one another, but they do it in their own unique ways. Neither one sounds like the other, and it's very hard for me to decide which one I like better. But this is my top pedals of 2019 list, and I do what I want! So I add both, the Sluh from Walrus Audio and Mood by Chase Bliss Audio. Yes, the 2 pedals vying for the top slot of best-selling new pedal on Reverb.com for 2019 have made the list in the same spot on my list. Yay! I do what I want. Maybe we should just eschew this whole top 10 list thing and it's just top pedals of the year, but hey, we're already at number 2, so we're kind of already too deep in the theme to turn back. But I digress. With Slow, you are introduced to dreamy ambient reverbs, from the weirdness of dark to the incredibly deep and immersive sound of Dream. There is more that you can do on this pedal than it seems at first glance, and everything sounds great. It is one of the most exciting reverb pedals that I have played, and it is one that I'm not quite sure whether or not it's going to join the board alongside Fathom or replace Fathom. Either way, it's really hard to argue against Walrus Audio and Reverb. Between Fathom and Slow, you're not gonna find a bad sound. And then with Mood. Mood is adventurous. Mood is all about improvisation. It's about playing. It's about discovering. It's not your standard kind of sounds. But it's because of that that I love it so much. It makes you want to play in different ways. It makes you want to explore different sounds, much like the Maris Phaedra did. The only reason that this pedal is a little higher on the list is because it was a little easier to grasp than Phaedra. Then we take both of these, combine them together, and you're just greeted to incredibly washy tones, incredibly out there tones, and ones that make you just want to sit in a dark room with some headphones on and then just vibe for hours on end. These pedals are the ones that I've had the most fun with over the course of the last year, save for our top pedal, but that's coming in a bit. So at number 2, these 2 pedals, because I do what I want. Here we are, the top spot of 2019. And this choice should come as no surprise to any of you that have been watching throughout the year. 2019 on the channel seemed to be the year of fuzz, and we saw a lot of them. But if there's one pedal that has truly taken my heart, and one that I have found to get more tones out of that I use on an almost daily basis, that honor has to go to the one, the only, the immortal champion of fuzz, the Keeley Fuzzbender. Did you really not think that this was gonna make the top spot? When I think about the first time I plugged into this thing and heard it through my rig, I could not believe the things that I was getting out of it. Being able to adjust the bias control and get big, woolly, gargantuan fuzz, but then at the same time, really strangle it, get that stinging kind of fuzz tone, man, this thing has got all of those in spades. But then these extreme boost and cut on the EQ means that you can crank this treble and get super stinging fuzz, or, you know, just turn the things up all the way and you've got doom and stoner metal territory. This thing sounds just as good into a clean amp as it does in front of a crunchy amplifier. It sounds great as a boost for smooth leads. It makes chords sound big, fat, mean, and nasty. And at the end of the day, when you get the honor of being able to put your stamp of approval on a pedal, It really does mean the world. I'm super honored that the guys at Keeley were willing to do this for me and that we were able to give away a few of these exact pedals. It's pretty incredible, the fact that Stompbox Saturday has its own little stamp of approval pedal out there in the world. And to all the winners out there, I hope you are enjoying it as much as I am enjoying it. This is definitely a pedal that will be finding its place on my pedal board in 2020 when I go out and gig live, and I'm looking forward to using it for many more years to come. And guys, I just can't say thank you enough. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robbie. The Fuzzbender is absolutely incredible. And there you have it, my friends, the top 10-ish pedals of 2019. These lists are always really hard to come up with because I know so many great pedal companies that are releasing great stuff throughout the year, and it's just not like companies out there today to still be around and release crappy products. So to be having to whittle down those 50 pedals to a 10 to 12 pedals of the year is pretty darn difficult. I've been racking my brain about this for the last several weeks. As a matter of fact, I'm only filming this video on December 30th, so you can see that I've been thinking about this quite a bit. And I, of course, want to just close this off by saying thank you to all of you who have watched consistently throughout the year. I can't believe how quickly we got started here in 2019 and how quickly things grew and how things changed over the course of this year. It's pretty incredible to look back on, and I can't believe the support that you all have shown. Thank you so much for watching. I know 2020 is just around the corner. As a matter of fact, it's probably about 12 hours away right now as of the time of you watching this. So hey, who knows what's gonna happen in 2020? I already have some leads on how awesome it's going to be, and I can just say that there's gonna be some good stuff, and you're gonna wanna stay tuned. So if you wanna make sure you don't miss any of that, please do click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of those videos, including the Season 7 premiere of Stompbox Saturday. But if you'd like to get notified of that before anyone else in the world and maybe get some behind-the-scenes looks at what's going on for the production of Season 7, please consider becoming a member of my Patreon community today. You will find a link for that in the description below. If you want to share your thoughts about my top 10 list, please do so in the comments section below. And as of right now, I'm getting a little tired and I want to get to some New Year's Eve partying. I'm not going to be partying. I'm probably just going to be sitting at home watching movies all night. But hey, a Star Wars marathon seems as good a thing as any to do for New Year's Eve, doesn't it? I thought so. Anyway, guys, I'm out. Thank you so much for joining me in 2019. I hope you'll join me in 2020. And until next time, my friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, and I wish you all out there great tone, happy stomping, and a happy new year. Cheers.